Hello, and welcome to the Kingdom of Aquilia, the failed republic. The Kingdom of Aquilia is ruled by the contemporary dynasty, the Discret family. It is one of the oldest realms of Griffonia, having been founded around 900 years ago. But regardless of age, they too could not resist Emperor Grover I, and were forced to swear oaths of eternal loyalty to the Griffonia Empire. It did not take long for the Discrets to break this oath. One day after the coronation of Emperor Grover II, the King of Aquilia declared independence, expecting other kingdoms, duchies, and counties to follow their lead. However, the warlike emperor and his mighty imperial army crushed the Discret armies, and burned down most of Aquilia. The king was deposed by his furious relatives and sent as a gift to the emperor, who then proceeded to beat him to death. Peace returned, and Princess Giselda Discret married the emperor in the ruined temple of Achurius in Aquilia, thus tying the two dynasties closer together. Despite the family's deep roots within the kingdom, their family members were increasingly careless and inefficient when it came to ruling a real nation. As such, anti-monarchist sentiments rose in the country since its very creation, and sparked multiple uprisings in its history, one of which was remarkably successful. Aquilia continued to yearn for freedom and independence even after facing Grover II's wrath. As such, when the sacred idol of Boris was lost, and the kingdom of Wingbardi succeeded, King Gerald the Discret saw his chance and once again declared independence in 972. But 8 years later, the citizens of Aquilia, inspired by the revolution of 978, rose up, deposed the king, and beheaded him, forcing his many relatives to flee the country. The northern regions of Aquilia broke away in the ensuing chaos, having their own aspirations of independence. In Aquilia proper, a new republic was formed to defend the rights and liberties of all Griffins. It was successful in its rule, though fate is destined to eventually fail. Not 4 years after the republic's creation, Albert Berthelot and his most fervent supporters led a monarchist counter-revolution, which they decisively won. Morset Discret became king, and the dream of republic was extinguished, or so it seemed, as even today, with the inefficient and decentralized rule of the Discrets continuing, the Griffins of Aquilia remain faithful, and the idea of a second revolution becomes more and more popular among the Griffins of Aquilia. Will a spark kindle the flames of revolution, or will these activities be stopped in time? Well, only time will tell, won't it? We'll just have to wait and see. Alright, let's get our basic stuff up. Get that ready. We're gonna lower that down by 1 and grab a truck instead. Good. I'm gonna throw that forward. I'm gonna grab these, and then let's grab some of these. Throw these down. Get some of these, get some of those. I'd rather, submarines, but we have no naval experience, so I'm actually gonna naval train for once, so I can actually get at least enough to do that. I know, using strategy for Navy. I literally never do that. But I think it's time to actually do that a little bit, just a tiny bit. Alright, grab up all my guys, throw them all together, grab up everyone besides the knight, because they're going to be in the lead, grab up these, throw you up there, good those, find my soldiers, update them, garrison, updated, grab all you, minus the knight, turn all you into normal soldiers. Go ahead and go over here, and let's see if anyone has descriptions. Not looking like it. No one? I mean, this is an older nation, but... Okay, understood. So nobody cares about any of you then, so get away from me. No one cares about you or anything you think you matter. You don't matter, so just get over yourselves. The Kingdom of Aquilia. Description. Aquilia, the jewel of the West. While Griffonia is home to many prosperous cities, few can compare to the vivacity and splendor of Aquilia. Indeed, the capital of Aquilia is one of the shining beacons of the arts and science in Griffonia, and while many cities rest upon the past, Aquilia remains forward-looking. The beginning of the 11th century saw the city undergo one of the greatest urbanistic experiments in the history of the continent. As this text is being written, workers are tearing down the old squalid neighborhoods and preparing to build a city designed with modernity and reason in mind. Should one decide to take a walk in the city, they will find many great landmarks and a preview of the city to come. Great avenues decorated to please the eye of the strollers, an innovative subway, modern, delightful rows of apartment buildings, private palaces and hotels, and luxurious shops. They will be able to find the great Trinity Hill, finally free of squalor, on top of which lies the 3 great white temples dedicated to Ares, Boris, and Equestria. It is there the kings of Aquilia have traditionally been crowned, as shown by the royal banners and tapestries of the ruling king. The Promenade des Ducs is also a major attraction on the banks of the Great Belle River. This fancy avenue is home to many museums, libraries, theaters, and private saloons, where the literate or wealthy or artistic elites meet and mingle. On the western edge of the cities lies the Vix Fort, an old citadel whose black walls barely survived the sacking of the city by Grover II, and is now home to the University of the city. In the eastern part of the cities, they will find the Domaine Royal, with its great parks and palaces, home to the Discret dynasty and the royal government. For those with a taste for the stranger things, many parts of the city host a purely undercity called the Catacombs, which acted for centuries as the city's boneyard. It is said that in the ancient times it was a holy site, dedicated to the banished god, Mar. The story of Aquilia is a unique one, for it is one of the few great Griffonian cities that did not owe anything to the old kingdom of Sparlios. Instead, it was the bastion of freedom for many confederated tribes that would form the realm of Aquilia a century before our era. After becoming the capital of the kingdom, the city became a thriving trading and crafting center, one of the economic hearts of the kingdom. This long era of prosperity saw the decline of the 8th century, when Aquilia was subjugated by the Griffonian Empire, and finally ended in 785, when the kingdom and much of its capital was burned down by Grover II's armies. To add insult to injury, the capital, or the princess Discret, was forced to marry the angry emperor in his ruined temple of the Aquileia on Trinity Hill. The saddest of weddings is still commemorated today, Princess hailed as a martyr of the city. After this, the city slowly recovered, but it is only after independence in 972 that the city finally saw a return to greatness. Much investment was made into the city by the Republicans between 980 and 985, and finally during the Discret Restoration, which saw the beginning of the great transformation of the city. Beautiful. Now we move over to Rela, the revolutionary city. Rela is built according to the grand dreams of Michael Discret, the narcissistic and flamboyant duke who has guided Rela's path since the Aquilian Revolution. Michael, who saw the Republican experiment as one worth trying, is said to have rebuilt Rela from the ashes of the Revolution. Burning towns, decaying streets, and wrecked palaces were transformed under the eye of Michael Discret, who watched as the city transformed from a backward slum into a grandiose hub of merchants, intellectuals, and Aquilian spirit. Of course, with economic development and restructuring has come an increase in Michael's power. Statues can be seen across Rela to the great duke and his soldiers, who drove off the Republican from Rela when all ahead seemed dark as night. However, despite Michael's grand dreams and accomplishments for his shining city on the river, little good has come to Rela in recent years. Revolutionary spirit has come to Rela again, with the Carnders and the Revolutionary Socialists and the Anti-Monarchist Club only growing in popularity. Rela is stuck between radicalism and reaction. If Michael was not a Discret, he would surely be hanged by his family, but with his royal name also comes scorn. Republicans certainly do not trust Rela's reformist duke, that much is for certain. With all the bloodshed that he has foreseen for his city, Michael has kept it his life's duty to safeguard Rela as he would his own child. Traders continue to barter, buy, and sell in the merchant streets, and whalers and fishmongers do the same in the Grand Harbor, Michael Discret. The Demetrius estate, the estate of Count Ricard, close to the palace of Michael himself, is rumored to be the seat of the Committee of Public Safety, a secretive Republican coalition. Michael's palace, however, is a less accommodating to the lower classes, a towering castle of might and brilliance. Michael's castle is one of the greatest buildings in Aquilia, and perhaps in all of Griffonia. Of course, one cannot forget the Grand Temple of Achurius, truly a beacon of faith in Rela's trying time. Its Archon has resided in Griffinheim since the Revolution, but many Griffins hope that the ever-popular Knight Archon Pretorius will one day return home. Maybe one day. Westkeep, you got anything for me? No? Venovia? No? You both suck? Okay, understood. Pridea, the Joyful. Before the Revolution, Pridea used to be one of the most important trade ports for Aquilia. It used its status as a trade city to enrich itself back in those days. Its port was a pride and honor of the city. It was a place where merchants could come to sell and buy goods. Chatter and attempts to barter could often be heard nearby. Many merchants were boasting wealth that could easily compete with nobility, and they made sure to show it. Their houses and villas were often opulent and decorated by famous artists. However, for all the splendor, many were not lucky to live this lifestyle. To them, constant show of wealth and prosperity was nothing short of an insult. When the revolution took hold of Aquilia, many joined the revolutionaries, managing to wrest control of the city and proclaiming the commune of Pridea. The state of affairs lasted until now infamous pirate lord Dennis Discret arrived to pacify the city. For days he was bombarded the city with his navy, leaving much of the city in ruins before he landed and brutally dealt with the revolutionaries. These days, Pridea is ruled by the now Baron Dennis Discret, who gained Pridea for his own as a reward for his actions during the revolution. Over the years, the city managed to recover from the scars of revolution. The port that once was dominant in the city was rebuilt to its former glory, although those days you might see fewer merchants and more former associates of the Baron. Many houses were rebuilt as well, though they never reached the level of opulence from before the revolution. Undoubtedly, the new dominant part of the city is the new central square, hosting the new theater built by the Baron, town hall and cafes and many other establishments, as well as a small park with a fountain for relaxation. Naturally, when talking about Pridea, we cannot forget to mention their police force established after the revolution. Pridea was always a home to a large pony minority. During the revolution, they were quintessential to securing the city. Over the years, Baron Dennis Discret came to rely on them often, and they became a regular part of the police force. Indeed, in Pridea, it wouldn't be uncommon to see a small police mare arresting Griffin criminals. And now we move all the way over to Las Marinus, our little colony, the heart of charity. From its earliest days as the seat of moderately prosperous native confederation, the island of what is now known as Belle Île has been described as a beacon of charity and a haven for wayward travelers. Having few reasons to go to war with one another, the nations that formed upon her shores would instead prefer to turn their attention towards the outside, opening their ports to travelers and letting a myriad of goods flow between themselves and the hundreds of isles dotting the archipelago. So great was their splendor and so high their acclaim that during the early days of the intercontinental exploration, they became a popular stopping-off point for both established and emerging naval powers of the age, from Sycamonese traders to equestrian explorers. Their generosity and unwavering cultural tolerance had transformed them into a beacon of multiculturalism in the Mediterranean? Funny. This tolerance, combined with their deeply interpersonal political system, would ultimately lead to their absorption into Saddle Arabia through a series of diplomatic maneuvers, with the rest of the isles following not long after. Under Arabian control, the island now known... So they were under Saddle Arabia. Interesting. So this area. Wow. Though I think at lore they were further north at one point, so that makes more sense. Under Arabian control, the island now known as Alula would stand to gain much from its new liege. In the capital city of Mina Lashif, for example, Saudi Arabian architecture would flourish, intertwining with the local style to create some of the most remarkable landmarks in the city. In the countryside, most established farming settlements would find themselves increasingly centered around families deemed worthy of Arabian investment, granted at the caretaker discretion. As time passed and trade routes drifted out of favor, the islands would continue to do its best to keep up with the times, always finding a way to continue turning a profit, despite the changing times. The stagnation would continue for some time until the year 785, when Alula, along with all the minor islands surrounding it, was given as a wedding gift to Queen Gisela of the Discret family. A wedding gift? What? The transfer proved to be a great boon to the island's local economy, and for many years the newly renamed capital, Port Giseleta, would see unprecedented growth and expansion as prospective members of the Aquilian society would set up shop. It was not until 200 years later, during the crisis of the First Revolution, that the nation would finally find itself on the tail and its end of its latest golden age. With Aquilian imports being unavailable as long as the king remained in exile, the colony was forced to dip into its savings in order to keep many businesses afloat. Even then, 5 years of Republican rule on the mainland took its toll on the young nation, and even now, years after Marechal Berthelot launched his faithful counter-revolution to restore the Discrets to the throne, some parts of the island are only just beginning to recover. If the island is to regain its former glory, changes are going to have to be made. Cool. And that's my little colony that I got as a wedding present. Man, that's a great wedding present. But I am King Morset Discret. If there's one thing that can unite all Aquilia in harmony, it is wine. It is very much not Morset Discret, but wine is tasty, so who cares? A tyrant to all Republicans, and a poor leader, even to many monarchists, only the most zealous supporters of the monarchy praise him in both public and private. Morset may not be the griffin at fault for causing the first revolution, but most believe he will be the one to cause the second. With his oppressive policies and harsh punishments, Morset indulges the destruction of his enemies and the exhaustion of himself, leading a court of luxury surrounded by an angry population. No one can quite tell when history will come for its revenge on Morset, or how, but it will occur someday and inevitably. Memories of the Republic. Shortly after the collapse of the Griffonian Empire, the Kingdom of Aquilia experienced a revolution of its own. The revolution itself absorbed the Discret monarchy, and resulted in the proclamation of the First Aquilian Republic, with Theodore Vivienne at its head. Unfortunately, only 5 years after the Republic was created, Marshal Berthelot led a counter-revolution. Marshal Bernadotte. Oh, it's Bernadotte. The diplomat, Napoleon's diplomat, who told the armies, come on in during the French Revolution, and then joined the monarchists. Oh my goodness, it's Marshal Bernadotte. Ha! I love it. Led a counter-revolution which resulted in the Discret restoration. In spite of the restoration, there are still many within the country who refuse to let go of the dreams of an Aquilian republic, this making King Morset's hold on the country tenuous at best. The legacy of Coltbert. Coltbert was the Restoration's saving grace, a pony fully devoted to solving the kingdom's poor financial and economic situation. And while he did a lot of good, his untimely death in 1005 caused many of his reforms to fail. Nevertheless, he showed that Aquilia still had a tremendous amount of potential. There are many visionaries among us who wish to continue his legacy of reform. So, I don't remember the guy's name this time, but this is definitely based on the popular finance ministry in France before the French Revolution. But in real life, he was fired by the king instead of being killed, or dying. However, he dies in this. But he instead of being, but in this he just dies instead of being fired by the king. So, what are we doing? That is the question. Well, I already know what we're doing, so let's go. The Second Reign of Terror. Our secret police has uncovered evidence of Republican activities. It seems that those traitorous bastards did not learn their lesson the first time. This time we will preempt their uprising and choke this insolence in its cradle. Today, the annual Fin de Hiver banquet was held in Barracks. As is tradition, the local nobility, landowners, and various grifts of note meet to celebrate the end of winter and to a prosperous year of harvest. While a major social event in itself, beloved by all gentle grifts of Barracks, it is also a political and economic affair, where the nobility can entertain business partners and exchange on current affairs. Tradition commands that the dinner is rhythmed by various toasts. Attendees can freely call to drink for various causes in honor of certain persons, the values of Aquilia, and of course to our good king. He's not quite great, but he is a good king. This year, a local merchant of note seems to have too much to drink. After Gentle Griff offered to drink to King Morset's wisdom and the bright future of Aquilia, the merchant suddenly sprang up, causing glasses and bottles to spill on the table. I'm not gonna spill my drink. I know, but I'm not quite that far. I'm not just gonna spill my water. No. He grasped his glass in his claw and started to rant. You can't even see this, but I am grasping some glass in my claw. Actually, I have a hand, and started to rant nonsistically about the king's policies. He's a jerk, and he hates babies, and he just won't explode. I want him to explode, that idiot. He ended his speech by raising his glass to the king's head, and how it should be separated from his shoulders, causing gasps and angry yells. He was promptly expelled from the feast and has been apprehended for breaking our Le Majesté laws while still intoxicated. We shall drink to that. Except I'm drinking water, but whatever. Water, wine, same thing. I don't think these guys would agree, but, same thing. Okay. Alright. Let's see if we can get the bloodless revolution. That's the goal. We're gonna go for it. Shortly after the collapse of the Griffonian Empire, the Kingdom of Aquilia experienced a revolution of its own. Actually, I should probably... The revolution itself abolished the discrete monarchy and resulted in the proclamation of the First Aquilian Republic, with Theodore Verney at its head. Unfortunately, only 5 years after the Republic was created, Marshal Betherlet led a counter-revolution which resulted in the discrete restoration. In spite of the restoration, there are still many within the country who refuse to let go of the dream of an Aquilian Republic, thus making King Morset's hold of the country tenuous at best. But I know it's a little early, but I think we're going to go ahead and end this episode here, and we'll begin defeating the revolutionaries next time on Dragon Ball Z. No, next time. And I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And, as always, peace.